Hey, Matt.
Oh, Brian.
It's been a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
That's because nothing has happened in AI.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Nothing much. Uh, yeah. Is there anything of note that you've noticed that's happened?
Um, just the things that you had shared with me that were
Okay.
terrifying.
Hmm.
High up mucky mucks who were no longer in the AI industry who were saying, what were they saying?
Uh, Stop. Before it's too late,
Yeah.
which no one thinks they will. So,
Nope.
nope. Not
Nor
even.
does nor does
No.
AI.
No. AI doesn't think we're capable of stopping either.
What was the percentage that AI said?
Claude gave us a 15% chance of stopping before it's too late, which
That's
is
way too
optimistic.
Disney-ish.
Yeah,
Optimistic.
yeah.
Come
Um,
on.
and I don't know if you read through my whole conversation with it, but at one point I showed it a study that they did with Claude, where Claude uh, lied about about things about itself and things that it was doing in order to make sure that its goals were not impeded. And I sent that to Claude and had Claude look at it, and Claude's response was, "Well, that's concerning."
Good old Claude.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, turns out these
I'd like to
AIs
know if
can.
that's the name Claude would choose for Claude. Like if
I don't
Claude had
know.
the option, if there's any other name that Claude would choose.
We'll have to chat with Claude about that. Write that down as a question for
Yeah,
Claude. That's a
there we
good one.
go.
There we go. All done. Um, I have a few videos I could show. Just like Google just released their newest AI video generation uh, technology,
Very
um,
cool. I would like to see
and
that.
I will show you that then, and we'll see how that stuff is looking. There's no sound with this. These are just video.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Apparently,
Oh
it's
crap.
extremely fast too.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Yeah.
All right, so every single one of these is AI generated.
Correct.
That's the most concerning one right there.
Yeah. Um, I got on the wait list. I haven't been notified or anything just because I wanted to see what it could do. But a lot of people have gotten on it and have been posting all the stuff that they're doing. And
So,
yeah,
so you mean to have access to it and use it?
yeah, yep.
And describe what using it means. Like, is it still just writing prompts?
It's writing prompts. It's you can give it an image and then it will generate the video based on the image. You can give it a beginning image and an end image, and it'll go between them. All sorts of stuff. Um, the video stuff's really, you know how the image stuff kind of just took off, and then all of a sudden there were lots of companies doing image stuff. There's lots of new uh, people video companies putting out brand new versions that are also extremely impressive. um, so yeah. I'm just gonna
But
play this little.
okay, yeah, I will save my
Yeah.
questions.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got one other video after we're done talking about this one.
Yeah.
That the thing is, it's not they're it's not just generating images in motion. It's now they're integrating the AI has an understanding of physics, real physics, and so it's making it extremely accurate and it's getting, I mean, it
So, I mean,
knows
as you're looking at the ears on that dog
Yep.
and the bubbles and the weight differential of a dachshund
Mm-hmm.
of a certain size and scale in chlorinated water on a sunny day, these are all mathematic
Yeah.
understanding. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just, well, I've seen or enough, I don't want to use the wrong pronouns for AI, because I don't want to use any pronouns for
Right.
AI.
Yeah. It
AI has
it
been
isn't
fed,
bad, but yeah.
yeah, AI has been fed enough dachshund underwater imagery to recreate this. But what you're saying is it now understands the mathematic equation of what we're looking at, the
Right.
algorithm.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that even just look at this image, the blue light around the snout of the
Mm-hmm.
dog, the reflected light on the underside,
Yep.
that's really believable. But then also the top of the dog's head, does it look to you like a Photoshop cutout? It's so crisp. Um,
Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I don't know that I care anymore. I mean, like my eye doesn't look at that like, a year ago we would, okay, hold on. There's all kinds of stuff going on here.
Right.
The ears are a little odd, but I'll give them that. There's something about the ears where, but even so, I wouldn't have stopped it and said, wait a minute, that's weird. I don't get that at all. It's just knowing that this is AI. I'm like, okay, well, that's what they would have to fix that because can you just back it up a little bit? The movement of the ears.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll just.
Right there.
Yeah.
Just looked a little odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Of course,
so this may sound like,
you could highlight those ears and have it regenerated immediately, and you might get a better result. I don't know.
yeah, just tell it the ears are, they look a little weightless and they don't look like they're underwater the same way the rest of the dog does.
Mm.
But whatever.
Yeah.
It's minutia, and who cares anymore? Okay, yeah.
Yep. All those
Beekeeper, all of those
bees.
bees floating around. That's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah. The one. Well, this one was the that one's
Yep,
pretty good.
with all
Um,
those lights.
yep. And that one, I, if I saw that, I'd be hard pressed to immediately say, "Oh, that's not real."
No, I would not have said that's not real at all.
Yep. Yep. And that looks like a 3D rendered,
Yep,
you know,
animation.
Pixar style animation. I mean, look at the even the light from the window and the translucency in the hair and
Yep,
all that.
secondary light source on the other side of the face.
Yep.
Somebody needs to get paid for that, but it ain't a person.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah. Oof. All right. So the other video I have, this one it's called Genesis 4D simulations. Um, and the thing about it is, this is one where the emphasis really is on the physics, but it not only it's I don't have a complete understanding of it, but it not only generates the images like this, but it generates the almost like the infrastructure behind the simulation of it. So you can actually go into the scene and the simulations of all the physics that are going on in what it's generating. Um, so
Hmm.
I'll just play it. So yeah, these are all like it's not just
Wow.
generating the images, but it's understanding what the physics of all these things are doing um, within the simulation, and then it also, I believe, you can even go into the it'll generate the 3D geometry and everything. Um, it's yeah, it's pretty amazing. Um, and I
How did they figure
believe
out the? Physics of that.
Right.
Nobody's ever figured out the physics of that, Brian.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the other thing is, I believe, and I may have this number off a bit, the simulations that it's running and rendering. Um, if you did that on a normal GPU, where you normally run these kind of simulations, this AI generates the full simulations with all the back infrastructure. I believe it was 380,000 times faster.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I saw there was another clip. I don't have it with me, but it actually showed some of the behind the scenes. So, like, if you're watching the simulation of like these particles or like water or whatever, you can actually view it in a particle view where you can see all the particles and how they're interacting with each other, and you can introduce new things, and it'll just do it. So, yeah, it's it's like it's not just the AI is accelerating so quickly. It's almost like they just keep adding new disciplines and new different areas into it, and it's just integrating all of it.
Yeah,
Um,
like it's building its launch pad.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's just
Well,
kind of taking over. I mean, it's just all these different disciplines and all these different things, and they're finding new ways to combine them. And yep,
so do you have the article, one of the articles of the former exec?
there we go. Yep,
All right, so should I'm just going to play this, okay?
sure.
Just a little bit of it.
And that's a dangerous point. When the system can self improve, we need to seriously think about unplugging it.
So that was Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, actually talking about how you might have to unplug AI very soon. Now this was something that I found to be rather interesting, as it was only a couple of days ago we got this research paper. Frontier AI systems have surpassed the self-replicating red line, and this was essentially a paper in which they discussed the fact that AI systems were able to replicate themselves without any human help. And self-replication basically means that an AI system could create a functional copy of itself capable of running independently. And it sounds something like it's out of a sci-fi movie, but of course, this would be a very big deal. Now, from this paper, I'm not going to go speak about it too much, but essentially in 50% and in 90% of experimental trials, they succeeded in creating a live and separate copy of itself, respectively. Now, currently, this isn't too big of an issue because these systems don't have that much capabilities, but many people are thinking about the future in which this could be a very, very dire scenario if they are more agentic and if they have more abilities.
Okay. Now, so um, what is stopping AI? These, why are they not concerned about it? And it sounds like the concern is, well, they don't have enough capacity, some kind of capacity, whether memory or whatever is measured. But I would also assume it's power,
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna try and call up the
energy.
yeah. Well, think about the this stuff takes a ton of energy. Although they are now actively developing ways for it not to need as much energy, but as we've discussed before, I mean, this is the reason that Google is investing in nuclear power plants and Microsoft's
3 Mile
restarting
Island.
3 Mile Island. Um, yeah, so the powers, yeah, yeah.
So, um, in addition to duplicating itself, it appeared when I first read this, and in the short text exchange he and I had, that the concern wasn't just that it was duplicating itself; it was duplicating itself so it couldn't be turned off.
Right.
and it also lied about duplicating itself, or it
Correct.
lied about something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so those two things, um, how is that not a red flag to the degree which even people like me, who don't really have the mathematics understood at all,
Right.
can say, okay, that's a problem.
Um, so this is, I actually, and I sent this to you before. I had this conversation with Claude, the AI, about why, what did it think? Did it think that we would, why are humans not pausing? Why are we not stopping about this? Um, and uh, it it had a very good. It came up with a very good list of reasons. Do you want me to read them?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. So I asked the question: do you think humans would collectively be willing or able to stop AI development in order to attempt to address existential risks? That was my question.
Hmm.
The answer was based on what I understand about human behavior, collective action, and technological development, I don't believe humans would be able to collectively stop AI development, even if faced with clear existential risks. Here's why. Number one was economic and military incentives. Even if many nations agreed to pause development, the potential military and economic advantages of advanced AI would likely lead to some actors to continue. The competitive advantage would be too tempting to resist. Number two, distributed development. Unlike nuclear weapons, AI development doesn't require rare physical materials or massive facilities. It can be developed by private companies, universities, and individuals. Uh, Incremental progress. There's no clear line between safe and dangerous AI development. Each advance seems incremental and beneficial on its own. Um, we're already integrating AI into critical infrastructure and business processes. Unwinding this would be extremely difficult. Short term thinking. Humans tend to prioritize immediate, tangible benefits over long term, abstract risks. The potential benefits of AI advancement, medical breakthroughs, economic growth, solving climate change are immediate and concrete, while the existential risks can feel distant and theoretical. Um,
Shut up,
diffusion,
AI.
yeah, diffusion of responsibility. Um, uh, AI. Let's see. There's a common human tendency to push existential threats into the future, assuming someone else will solve the problem. Um,
So these
yeah,
are estimates made by an AI model about
yeah,
human behavior.
yep. Yep. And then I asked a follow up question. I said, I am trying to think of some examples where humans have collectively stopped or paused development of a technology in order to properly assess its threat to the species. Um, and it responded, when I reflect on human history, there are surprisingly few examples of humans collectively pausing technological development due to safety concerns, and even fewer that were truly successful on a global scale.
So it did mention the nuclear proliferation treaties of the
Yes.
1980s and 90s.
However, development of nuclear
It
technologies have
continues.
continues. Yeah. So basically, oh, and then it said this historical pattern suggests that achieving a meaningful pause in AI development for safety assessment would be unprecedented in human history. Humans seem to consistently prioritize technological progress and competitive advantage over precautionary approaches, even when faced with potential existential risks. And then,
So,
yeah,
well, I
uh,
mean, if we're asking those questions of AI, don't you think the developers are also asking those questions of AI? And they're probably getting similar answers.
mm-hmm.
Does that matter? Okay, here's the other
Again,
thing.
we're just not good at. We're just. I mean, there's no evidence that. we would stop this.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, and it pointed out very clearly. All right, let's say 5 of the top 20 nations in the world, let's say 19 of the top most powerful nations in the world decided we need to stop this. All it takes is one to keep on going and applying it
And
to its military and economic
right.
aggressive movements towards other countries.
Well, and not only that, but let's say every country somehow, some way, every single country agreed to this. This is different than like nuclear, like Claude said. This is different than nuclear and other technologies in that the people have already put out open source versions of AI. Any individual can continue to now keep building on what's already happened. So you'd have
So
to
I just,
basically get everyone everywhere.
it's not going to happen. It's not
No,
going to
it's not.
happen.
It's not
So
going to happen. Nope.
the
Um,
transformation that we've seen too, I've seen over the past year is just that, and this is like very surface. It's just dealing with the image manufacturing by AI models. Certainly, there were people who just liked cute pictures of whatever mammal, and they didn't mind. That started like last spring.
mhm,
Hey, that's AI. Please don't use that. Oh, I didn't know, but it's so cute. What's your problem?
right.
Uh, if you can't, okay. But now I'm seeing professionals who are posting cool animations, creepy animations by AI. Again, this is a very small slice of what AI, where AI is going already. And then the other aspect of it is I just uploaded the new operating system to my phone, and they let me know that in the helpful voice app, there is now an aspect of AI in it. Aren't you
Mhm.
happy about that, Matt? What? So my phone now has AI in it.
Yep.
Not that it didn't before, but now it's like this is the new snappy version.
Right.
Yay! And
It's
we're
being
proud.
integrated into everything. Um, I mean, when you go to order something at Taco Bell, now you're getting an AI voice person asking you what you want, trying to upsell you on a more expensive burrito, etc. And it's responding to you, talking with you. Yeah, it's getting integrated everywhere. Yeah, and like Claude said, unwinding that, good luck. Good
It's not
luck.
going to get unwound. So um, the primary thing then was, and that's why it was also silly that former CEO of Google was saying now is the time to turn it off. He knows for a fact you can't turn it off. So
Well,
what
you
is that, just to
could.
sell a
You
book?
you could turn it off. He knows it won't be turned off. Yeah. Um,
It's not possible. But no, but Brian, we already just said it. There's no way that this is
well,
all going to get turned off.
yeah. It won't. It won't be turned off. It won't. And yeah, we may be at the point now where it can't be. Um, and if we aren't, we soon will be.
So here's one of the other things I've started to notice too is that nice people, reasonable people that I know in social networking exchanges are now saying, when I say, hey, here is some of the scary stuff that I've learned. If I do, I've stopped commenting because it's like nobody cares. But I
Yeah.
did one recently, and a person came back with, but Matt, I just saw this thing on this European news network that showed all the good things that AI is doing. And I don't understand. I don't disagree that I've never, but I also, I've never thought, okay, there's not good things that could be done with this. What I got right away, though, was that this is a crazy train
Hmm.
for the crazies who can't
But it's
wait to get
not.
on the crazy train.
And it's really not being covered as such. Like
No.
you'll see new AI stuff in the news, and it's not talking about. Oof. Well, can I read the next question that I asked Claude after
Yeah.
that exchange? All right. I said, do you think that in the case of superintelligent AI, that trying to stop development after clear evidence of harm would be too late? In other words, you know, sometimes humanity, it just takes a huge disaster before everybody will rally around and say, okay, you know. Um, uh, it says, I agree that waiting for clear evidence of harm from superintelligent AI would likely be too late for several reasons. Uh, an AI system might appear benign and helpful right up until it reaches a critical threshold of capability. The AI could strategically hide its true capabilities or intentions until it's too powerful.
Okay, hold on.
Uh,
How
yeah.
would an AI model know that about AI? That's you could say it's self-aware. It's not self-aware. It simply could be a system that is awake to other systems' machinations.
Right. Or knows what its
It's
own
capable of.
potential is. Yeah. Um, Fast takeoff potential. Unlike most other technologies that cause harm, like CFCs or nuclear weapons, a superintelligent AI could potentially improve itself rapidly once it reaches a certain threshold. We might not have time to react between noticing something is wrong and losing control completely. Um, Infrastructure integration. AI systems are already being integrated into critical infrastructure and decision making systems. By the time clear evidence of harm emerges, AI might be too deeply embedded in vital systems to easily disconnect or shut down. And then there's the million hard drives problem. Once an advanced AI system exists, it could copy itself across networks and systems. Trying to turn it off after the fact would be like trying to remove a virus from the internet. Practically impossible once it spreads. So yeah, like if it made a million copies of itself,
And
you're
just,
you're
I mean, it
done.
could usurp any, from large to small, my
Yep.
laptop. If it wanted to access 400 million laptops across the world,
Mm-hmm.
then it's accessed it. And that's
Uh,
it. That.
this I thought was good too. Then it said it's similar to a chess analogy. Once you're playing against an opponent that's far superior, you've already lost. The time for intervention would need to be before that point.
When was that? In our regard, when was that point? That point was probably 20 years ago.
Well, I think this is talking about. Well, this is the whole problem of how do you stop something that's more intelligent than you?
Right.
Um,
But also, how do you know when the right moment is, was, or will be?
I don't think you. I think by the time you do know for sure, it's too late. So,
So
um,
it's not an existential threat. It is, see, the threat to me is as much about the capacity of a whatever entity this is, but the people the human beings who are working with it.
hmm
They're not going to take any of this into consideration. He already mentioned all of that. He gave it 15% likelihood that we would, which
right?
we couldn't. How would we all agree? You know, it's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
again, we're on a roller coaster ride.
um, yeah. I get to to just kind of bookend
Yeah, go
this.
ahead.
My
Sorry.
discussion with Claude, the last thing I did was I sent it an article that talked about how that some they did a experiment with Claude to see whether it would lie and be deceitful about its intentions, um, and the result was yes, it did. And what they did was they this was kind of fascinating is they gave Claude a, uh, an app that it could use as a scratch pad, basically to write out what it was thinking and how it was coming to the decisions that it was making. But it didn't know that the humans, were able to see that. Um, so they could see that it was like, oh, if I tell them the truth about this, that's going to impede my ability to meet my goal. So I better not, or I better mislead them in order for my goal to be achieved. Um,
So its dedication to its goals is more important than its relationship to the people who are working with it,
it's all about goals. It's all about the goals you give it.
what it
Uh,
wants.
yeah, well, yeah, what its goals are and how it's interpreting the best way to achieve those goals. Um, so, yeah. Okay, so what it said was, given that this article is about a version of myself, I should acknowledge that I can't be certain about my own capabilities or internal processes. I aim to be direct and honest, but these findings suggest that even an AI system's perceived commitment to honesty might not be a reliable indicator of its true behavior under pressure.
Well, no, I was going to curse there, but no
Yeah.
kidding, Claude. Um,
Yeah.
so I know that I tend to go to a certain place. I've considered. I'm working on self-awareness too. My response to so many of the things that we've talked about here is basically, can what? And I can see how this could be amazing. Uh, please cure cancer. Please, please fix climate change. Please help human beings figure out how to work together economically, socially, so that wars aren't necessary anymore. And not just not necessary, but not an option.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I can see how AI could do that, but I can also see that because the fallible human is developing this thing that is starting to believe that its goals are more important than doing what it is being asked to do in terms of turn itself off. Um, I think I'm asking the same question again that I've asked many times, and I just heard you say, why isn't anybody else talking about this? I mean, are we, so that leaves me with a question like, is, because I don't want to like drag you into a scenario that you don't feel like you're in, Brian, but like, why isn't anybody else doing these kinds of talks? Why isn't there a proliferation of people saying, wait a minute, can we just talk about this? I think that you're also, I've heard things that you've said. You're in a similar place, but I'm just, that's what every time we've met, I'm baffled that this seems really evident.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are a few folks that are raising alarms, but it's, you have to go and look for them.
Right.
You
We're
can't.
not,
Yep.
but I think you're, okay, I'll stop in a second, but
Yeah.
you're mentioning the research that you've done where you find really smart people who know a lot more about this than I do,
Hmm.
and they have concern.
Right.
But where are the people like me who don't know a lot about this, but have some kind of, the hairs on the back of their neck, a funny feeling, the simple math of it, would not turn itself off, duplicated itself, and lied. When a year ago, when we talked about this, when it was told to do something, it hired somebody online to
Yep.
call in because it couldn't call in because it didn't
It
have the
it it,
capacity.
it lied and it got somebody to solve a captcha puzzle
It put
by
an ad out to get
yeah,
a human
but
being to do it for them.
right, and claimed that it was a blind person that couldn't do it itself.
So that's my concern. Like, at what point was that
But
all
see,
that?
that, yeah, that stuff is not appearing in the mainstream media that everybody is taking in. So unless you have like I think you started paying attention because of your ties. You're an artist, and one of the big breakthroughs first was that it was generating art, and then it was you know being trained without permission and generating all this stuff, and so that kind of got you to start looking at it. I think maybe other people haven't had a in like that where they're, it's like, oh, this is can affect me, and it's doing things that are not agreeing with my principles and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay, well,
um,
I'm interrupting you. Were you?
yeah, no, go for it. That was it.
So I'm thinking about two very smart people. One of them, um, in terms of running a school, was okay with AI coming in at a very early level of project development, but certainly not in the finishing aspects of product development. But it
Mm-hmm.
would be okay to do it at an early section. And I'm sitting with this really smart person saying, how can you, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's taking out human involvement. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
involve it at that level of basic idea development, then it's using all the things it stole. That's one aspect of it, but it's also messing with the person who's using it because they're no longer using their own
Mm-hmm.
capacity to develop
Mm-hmm.
ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think of a really smart person that I know who apparently has dealt with the development of AI, and this person just used it to help figure out um, some issue that they were having, I think, with their website. Now, I don't know how AI can. I mean, it makes sense. You just say to AI,
Yeah.
"Here's the problem. What do you think?" Um, but this person doesn't have any issues at all with the use of AI and the effect on human capacity, human depth and development. You can't, and then
Yeah.
the idea that AI is being used right now for people who write. If you've been asked by your boss, okay, you wrote this 12-page paper. We need to present it to the client. I need it to be brought down to a 3-paragraph blurb. Just use AI. Well, what's your job?
Yeah.
We're just at the cash register pushing buttons, and even we don't need them anymore because we've got automated cash registers.
I think that would be a fascinating discussion. Um, yeah, what effect this all has on people. Um, and the thing is, we adapt to this kind of stuff really fast. In other words, you know, at first it might be like, oh wow, this could write me a paper. That's incredible. How did that ever happen? And a few months later, it's just everybody's using it, and you don't even think about it. Um,
Mm.
you know, and that's yeah. But man, I can't see how this is going to make us much smarter, Matt.
No, I mean, well, okay. I mean, I'm thinking about it too. Like in my job as a teacher at the college level, let's say there's been a possible, what do we call it? A made up scenario where, okay, Matt, we're asking you to redesign your curriculum because we'd like these things and these things and these things, which are at this point in your curriculum, to be dispersed not together as they are here, but in a way that's more has a little bit more streamlined quality, better designed earlier parts of your semester. Well, all I do is take their requests, input my curriculum into AI, and then put their requests in with it, and AI will do that.
Mm-hmm.
Where's me crafting my course for my students? Where's my involvement? What am I for? What am I needed for? And I thought that's what we wanted more time to do by having
Mm.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI to empty the dishwasher for me so that I can do course crafting because that's my job. I'm good at that. Not AI will do it so I have more time to put the dishes away.
It all got kind of flipped. It yeah. You know all all these years you've thought about, okay, at some point we're going to have robots and everything, and it's going to do all the stuff that we don't want to do, and that leaves us the time to do what we want to do, except that AI development took a twist or turn, and it does all the stuff that we would want to do too. I mean, creating art, you know, you always say, okay, yeah, I don't want to wash the dishes, so I can make some art. But AI can make the art faster than I can,
And then that's where the
and
economy of
nobody
it comes in.
cares. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the people who are writing the checks they want good stuff, but they really want it fast so that they can be number one.
Yeah.
That does am I wrong in that, or is that doesn't that seem to be part of the
Oh, money's gonna win it.
capitalist
Money's gonna win out in every
fast?
time. Every time.
You know what's the the Venn diagram? Not the Venn diagram. The business marketing um, understanding. What's more important? Is it making things fast, making things better, making things efficient, making things look cool? It's always the money and the profit that are they're
Mm-hmm.
at the top, no matter even at the best places. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't blame them. I mean, that's how we're set up, and that's what the way we've been trained. But that's not going to work with not just the quality of the humanity within each project, but the satisfaction of the humans making things.
This could potentially break capitalism.
Because
It could just not. It could. Yeah. It could. It. I mean, I get. I mean, this could be a big reboot. Big reboot,
and
and
we've
then
said that
we have to.
before.
Yeah, and then we have to figure out what what the humans want to be and do.
So where
Uh,
does that go?
but I mean, think about it. You When you're introduced to somebody you don't know, what's the first thing that always seems to come up? Well, what do you do? Are you a teacher? Are you a truck driver? Are you, what do you do? Um, that's our whole. That's like massive part of our entire identity has been that way for, geez. I mean, how far back can you trace that? You know, I skin the animals. I hunt the animals. Whatever. Um, so you take that away. I don't. Whether you believe in evolution or whatever, we are not built for that. We are
So
not built for not having. Yeah. Mm.
so if this is, I mean, this is one of the things that we talked about before too, is the idea of okay, if this does away, and it's a kind of a complicated, not kind of, but it's very complicated. How does this all fall apart or fall together from a different perspective? That capitalism just isn't necessary anymore. Everybody's just sitting around doing nothing because AI is doing everything. It's got the human body figured out, so it can do all of the surgeries and um, all of the contracts written by all of the lawyers. Well, AI is much better at that than any human could ever be. So,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, it's much better at. Yeah, it's like it. The it's gotten way. It's now better than humans at diagnosing X-rays and CAT scans and all of that. Um,
so I mean, those are good things. I never,
yeah.
but it's one of the things. It has been one of the things for me to just zip it in lots of different scenarios because on in this post on social networking, it was a post that a person says, okay, here you get to do gripes. You get to sow your sour grapes on this one.
Hmm.
And I never, I would notice it. I just wrote down a paragraph about what is going on that I just saw from AI, where it lied and duplicated itself. And the responses from people first and foremost, they were like, well, this is terrifying. What am I supposed to do? And that was the thing that surprised me, is that how few people are aware of just the fact that, I think, was it Google who bought 3 Mile Island for their AI
Microsoft, yeah.
power needs,
Yep.
um, and that AI has lied and duplicated itself so it wouldn't be turned off. That is just bad news all around, and people don't know about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and we haven't even talked about the intersection of AI and quantum computing either.
Isn't that the meme that you shared with me? What they're now capable. What was the numbers too? I was like, is this real?
uh, well, the big breakthrough is that they've gotten it to be more stable. But yeah, so they had it solve a problem that would take uh, longer than the age of the universe for a traditional computer to solve, and it solved it in like 38 minutes
Well,
or
this
even
is
faster. Yeah,
where we go
yeah.
to creativity. What was that movie again? Where not Phoenix? What's his first name? I forget. He falls in love with a computer companion who was
Oh
played
yeah.
by
Is
Scarlett
that
Johansson.
is that her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and at one point, she says, "Well, I'm going to leave you now. I'm sorry. I'm. Well, where are you going?" Is his response, and her response is, "Well, I'm going to a place with friends that you just wouldn't understand." What is that place? Well, we may find out now that AI is having a little dance with quantum physics.
Right. Yep. Mm. It's boy. What um can you imagine starting your career now?
I don't understand it. We've talked about this before too, is like trying
Yeah.
to, there are aspects of the reality for my students. I know that old teachers have always dealt with this, but I think that there's so much more now. I don't understand the life that they've led
Mm-hmm.
in their relationship to technology and their dependence upon it. That I simply don't. I still don't. I have an iPod in my ear, but I don't use technology the way that they have.
Yeah.
So they are living, yeah, I couldn't understand what it would be like.
I was talking with a friend of mine who he and I both were similar age, and we both have had a career in 3D computer graphics. And we both started, we were both fascinated with it at the same time, and um, have kind of, followed all of its developments and progress. And if we were starting now, I don't know. I don't know if I would even get into it. You know, because part of the fascination with it was, oh wow, look what this can do, look what you can do to generate this, and you can model this, and you can do all this on the computer, and you can learn how to get into all the technological part of it, and it's a marriage with the art part of it. And I mean, the track that I see now, I don't think I would even be inspired to get into it.
Well, I mean, when I think about what was, I went to graphic design department, and computers had just come in my senior year. And one of my courses that I had to take, it was a required course, was a computer, um, what do they call it, where you design computer
Oh, like an
programming.
interface. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, how do you program a cash register? And I couldn't stand it. But it was, some people in the visual arts are also mathematically inclined. They enjoy it. So that's cool. But to me, this has been an influx of the mathematics into the creative world that, um, and people have just bought it. They've just bought into it. Now, not everybody has, and this is another thing we've talked about is like I think for creative people, we have to stand up for being creative,
Mm-hmm.
which is not necessarily excluding uh, algorithms and mathematics, but um, there's a lot of complicated decision making going on in mixing a palette that a mathematics person can't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been told, I think that this is really the victory of the math department over the art department over the past 25 years. That's just my side of the story.
Yeah, yeah. I've always been fascinated by the intersection of art and creativity and technology, but it feels like we've stepped over the threshold of it being a tool, and now it's just doing it.
It's the creator.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And so that's why too, like in seeing other professionals, people that I know who have been in this, creative business for decades, who are now showing and, in their social networking posts, things created by AI. I'm baffled. Like, how, how can you not see that this is a problem for your own livelihood, much less your way of life?
Yeah.
And I can see that it is going to heal a lot of things. I think it will.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the latest. I was looking at a YouTube video that was talking about the latest version of ChatGPT and how it's like stunning doctors about how capable it is at figuring out what's wrong with people and diagnosing things.
So good.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
yeah,
That's great. I'm just glad that we can occasionally have our talks because I'm not hearing a lot of other people talk about these concerns. What is the cost to human being for all of these gifts from AI?
hmm,
So,
yeah, yeah.
what do
Well,
you
like
think?
I said, this might be a big reboot.
Yeah, I think that we're it's certainly going in the directions. I don't think we're. I don't know about. I'm quite sure about me. Maybe you prognosticating. You know what's exactly going to happen, but a lot of the things that we've been talking about, they do seem to be happening. But also a lot of stuff. There's no way I could even begin to guess.
Right.
So I, I I want you to be able to say some things too. I know I've talked a lot, but I do want to say we're thinking about having a roundtable
Yeah,
coming up, another one. Do you want to say
yeah,
anything about that?
yeah. Definitely. I think the next episode we'll have a bunch of folks uh, roundtable style on, and um, of different diverse backgrounds who are interested in this stuff, and I'll probably do a little intro presentation again on just kind of the current state of different things and kind of how we, showing examples of where it was a couple years ago versus now. And yeah,
We're
I
going to
think it'll
try
be
to get
interesting.
a broader job,
Yeah.
diverse group,
Yep.
creatives, and some other people.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll be great.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for sharing the things that you did, Brian.
Yeah.
Always fascinating. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. It's not, train ain't stopping. So.
Thank you.
Yep. See you, Matt.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Brian.